Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game tickets from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
And now, for fans of the 13-time NFL champion Green Bay Packers, this is Cheesehead TV Live.
Cheetahs don't stretch, and neither do we.
I think you're an idiot. And I mean that with the most respect possible that I can give to an idiot.
Packers Hall of Fame quarterback Jay Coe.
Jay Coe. It's not as fun to say as equanimous.
That is a perfect example of a wrong opinion. Ring the bell. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. All right, Packers fans, what is up? We're back. Cheesehead TV Live at the Watershed here in Tempe. Game's on national TV. It's on local TV, so you can tell. It's a little bit. So you're all getting your own private, personal pregame show.
That's
What's
right.
up? Jason Perone and Jeremy Vanderlinden of Cheesehead TV. Sir, welcome back. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back. How was your Thanksgiving?
It was excellent. I ate a lot, watched a lot of really good football. It was an all-NFC Thanksgiving day. There was not one AFC team.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was. I know, selfishly, it was.
So just a warning to everybody. It's been, 3 weeks since we've done a show?
Yeah, so just check your volumes because Jeremy's pent up.
I'm probably going to yell. Like I'm already ready to yell. So I haven't had a chance to yell at everybody about how crappy this Packers team is and where things are at. But I might do that today. So if you're in the bar, plug your ears because that's going to happen.
Yeah, so I think the last time we were together was before the Dolphins game. So that's how long it's been. The Packers have gone on a rough stretch since then. We don't need to rehash all of it. But today, the first Sunday of Packers football in December in the year of our Lord 2018, and it is Aaron Rodgers' 35th birthday. He is 35
birthday.
Today, halfway to 40.
Stop missing 2-yard throws.
That's right.
Happy birthday.
No, happy birthday. That's right. Aaron Rodgers turns 35 today. And the Packers, unfortunately, this past week, we were looking at the inactives list from today. Jeremy will have those for you in just a second. But Mike Daniels and Trevor Davis both on injured reserve. Jake Kumaro, the All-Oneida team superstar, is back.
Touchdown Jesus.
He's up today.
Right. Yeah,
he's up today, so it's going to be interesting. It's snowy. It's about 32 degrees and snowing in Green Bay. It's going to snow most of the day according to the forecast. So The Cardinals forgot to pack the sunshine when they left.
All right, let me just say hi to a couple people in the YouTube chat. If you want to get in on the chat and you're here in the bar, you can go to Cheesehead TV's YouTube page. There's a chat going on there. You can join many Packer fans talking about this team. James, thanks for joining us. Nathan, Jersey L, of course, you're in the chat. Thanks for coming along. William, Nathan, thanks for joining us, guys. Kevin, send us your questions, your Packers topics. We'll definitely try to hit on those. I'm sure everybody's got lots of opinions, lots of frustrated opinions. Oh, there they are, the Packers walking out onto the field. So I'm sure everybody's got things they want to say. Bring it to the chat, bring it to us, and maybe we'll discuss it. So let's go over the inactives list today. Obviously, Tim Boyle, if you didn't see that coming,
Evergreen inactive.
Right. Kevin King, bummer. Bashad Breeland, double bummer. Kentrell Bryce, triple bummer. Trey Carson, Raven Green, which is also a bummer to me. I wanted to see some Raven Green this year as things went along with the safety group. I thought that he could show that he belongs. Alex Light, and then for the Cardinals, wide receiver Chad Williams, linebacker, more of a safety linebacker, Dayon Buchanan, cornerback, familiar to Packers fans, Quentin Rollins, defensive back, Dante Johnson, linebacker, Thurston Armbrister. Yeah, Armbrister. I did it. Offensive line, DJ Humphreys, and Cameron Malvo?
Yeah. Some guy. Okay, so basically the Cardinals
I can read.
I think they finally got around to watching enough tape on Quentin Rollins, and they're like, ooh, we better make him inactive, especially against the Packers, because he's had some rough games at Lambeau Field in the past. So no Quentin Rollins today for the Cardinals. Alex Light on the inactives list is actually somewhat good news, even though it's no surprise, because there was some talk that David Bakhtiari might miss today's game. He is active. He will play. And I think Light being an evergreen inactive obviously means a redshirt season for him this year, but it looks like the preferred 5 are going to go today.
Right.
Now,
because no Lane Taylor on that list either.
So I'm going to be interested to see if you Mr. Stick with the hot hand, Mike McCarthy. Is he going to start Justin McCray on the right guard, or is he going to bring Byron Bell back?
That question.
Okay, all right. So
gives
that's not,
me
I'm trying to get
anxiety.
you to start yelling. I'm trying to get you to start yelling, and that obviously isn't going to do it. The offensive line is not going to be that topic.
If you want me to throw up on this microphone, that might do it.
All right, so before we get into the obvious offense, special teams, defense, Jeremy, I think the one thing we can kind of pick up and start talking about after a 3-week layoff, and we're glad to be back, is all of the news this past week about the team, the inner workings of it, Aaron Rodgers, the relationship with Mike McCarthy, the organization, the article from SI.com that came out late last week. There is some validity to it, absolutely. There were a lot of unnamed sources in the story, but I think that's the story of this, or the headline of this season, is that it's just kind of dysfunctional. It's a lot of disarray in Green Bay.
Yeah, so that SI article, it was very long and mostly disappointing.
Yeah. A lot of fluff.
So the one thing that I took away from it that really bothered me is the communication on game day. Mm-hmm. The fact that Aaron Rodgers talks to Deshaun Kaiser and Tim Boyle talks to Mike McCarthy, and there's some kind of game of telephone on the Packers sidelines. So Mike McCarthy doesn't know what Aaron Rodgers is doing in the game because he can't pay attention to everything that happens. He requires the backup quarterbacks to communicate with him what the heck's going on, right? So when Rodgers comes back to the sidelines, he sits on the bench with Deshaun Kaiser. They discuss things. Deshaun Kaiser relays things to Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle brings that to Mike McCarthy. What the hell is happening?
I don't know. Well, remember when Ty Montgomery left, though? One of his gripes was that he didn't get communicated with and he didn't know what his role on the team was. This is a 4-year starter on this team that did not know what his role was.
I could not
still
be.
4 years later, and this is like a heavy contributor. So that to me says to me that there is a communication problem big time in this organization. I don't care if you want to drill it down to individual players. You've got to look at the head of the organization. You got to look at Mark Murphy. You got to look at the GM, Brian Gutekunst, who's in his first year, and I think he's probably trying to change the culture. But you've got Mark Murphy holding it back. Ted Thompson's not in the picture anymore, but Mike McCarthy, 13-year head coach, and you're still having these issues and still running into these problems. Right. I don't. There's no excuse for it, and it's one of the reasons why there's heavy chat about, and we're going to be talking about, Jeremy, I'm almost positive, head coaching search for the Green Bay Packers as soon as this season is over.
So I just want to, in the chat, Vegas JSS, just so you know, I put you in timeout. That's a thing on YouTube. You're in timeout. I hope you feel like a 3-year-old because you're acting like one. So, okay, back to the Packers. Mike McCarthy needs to be fired. End of story. We know that. Done.
After the season.
So I'm going to throw this question out there because a lot of people in the chat, feel free to answer. A lot of people have strong opinions on things. Would you rather make the playoffs and have a chance for the Super Bowl? Now, I don't think this Packer team is going to win the Super Bowl. I don't even think they're going to get there, even if they get to the playoffs.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Here's the thing. If you make the playoffs, you guarantee that the top coaching prospects on the list are being looked at before you're ready to look. Right? So as a fan, you have to consider all things,
right? Are you saying because they're still playing?
Right, because they're still playing. Like, for example, and we haven't had a chance to discuss this, my favorite coach, potential coach, is Bruce Arians. And I know that he said that he would only go to the Browns. However, the thing is, when you think about Aaron Rodgers, his play style, his attitude, Bruce Arians is on that same level, right? No risk it, no biscuit. That's his thing. He wants to go big or go home. He is the right coach for Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't know that would work out. However, if the Browns get a shot at him while the Packers are sitting in the playoffs and they're not going to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to hire him before the Packers even have a shot to talk to a guy like that. They're also anybody on the top of your list that you like probably is going to be deep in talks about taking a job before the Packers would be available to even have a discussion.
Well, I guess you could be right there, but that's not how you operate. You know, you win. You want to win and try to get in, and anything can happen. You just never know. Did you think that 2010, even after they lost to the Patriots in 2010, did you think the Packers were going to the Super Bowl that year?
No.
So, and it's a completely different team, and this team is not made up of that same ilk. But if the Browns are serious about maybe looking at some of these playoff coaches, and you've got Mike McCarthy as a potential
that's a good point
and
too.
even if they go to the playoffs and get bounced out of the wild card round, I still think Mike McCarthy could be sent packing. The Browns are really going to say, well, Arians is there. I don't know. But these teams know if other teams are going to let their guys go. You think that everything's above board in the NFL. It's not. There's conversations taking place all the time about players, coaches that are going to get released, fired. These teams know they already have these deals in place before they're done. I know that sounds very negative and very conspiracy theorist. That's just the way business works. There's no way that you operate a multi-billion-dollar business without taking every possible option into consideration if you're trying to fill a hole or plug a hole with your coach, with your players, anything like that. You mentioned Arians. There's been a lot of varying opinions on Bruce Arians. I personally, my issue would be, can he withstand a full season?
Well, Nathan in the chat says Arians will have a heart attack.
From a health perspective, I don't know. Would he withstand a full season? But here's the deal. You make a really good point, and you actually just made a good point for me in my head because I had been blocked out like, no, I don't want Bruce Arians, and that's my reasoning why. But you think about pairing him with Aaron Rodgers, right. Those two personalities would be fantastic together. Those
two would be great together. The thing is, of all the coaches that we talked about, I think Josh McDaniels and Bruce Arians are the two biggest that would do Lincoln Riley. Thing that Aaron Rodgers would want, right? So the biggest thing that the Packers need to consider as they make this decision, you only have a short time with Rodgers, so you better get it right. Do not mess around with going and hiring a nobody that Aaron Rodgers might not listen to.
Yeah, that is an excellent point. And on his 35th on Rodgers' 35th birthday, the clock is ticking, and obviously 35 is nowhere near old by any stretch. And you look at what Tom Brady's done in New England, there is certainly a possibility of somebody who takes as much care of themselves as Aaron Rodgers and tries. Right. He could get hurt. Certainly injury is a different story than trying to keep yourself in shape. But Rodgers can play later, he can play a few more years, and so hopefully we have those years with him. But and Lincoln Riley was mentioned too in college, and to your point, everybody kind of runs with these narratives and they get really they buy into it. The more it gets talked about, the more people think it's going to happen because they think it's legitimized, and there's so-and-so said it, so it must be happening. And that's you bring up a good point. That's the caution of that, is that would Lincoln Riley work with Aaron Rodgers? Would he work with the Green Bay Packers?
Would Rodgers listen to him? The thing is, Rodgers isn't listening to McCarthy. He's not doing what McCarthy wants. That's what that Sports Illustrated article was all about. And so bringing in a coach that he would listen to is very important. Now, Al says in the chat that Bruce Arians is only interested in the Browns job, and I know that. But what Bruce Arians doesn't know yet is that the Packers job is available. Nobody knows that for sure yet. And so, he came out and said that. I'm sure that's how he feels today. But when you have a shot to coach Aaron Rodgers, maybe that's what you want. However, I'll say this, and we should probably end on this because we got to get to today's game. We need to discuss this on Wednesday. I would argue that the Browns job is more appealing right now than the Packers job.
Ooh, let's bookmark that.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
Let's bookmark that. We'll end on this. You're right, Jeremy. If Bruce Arians said anything about the Packers job, it could be looked at as tampering because there is no job to be looked at. But we got a ball game today between the Arizona Cardinals and Green Bay Packers, so let's start breaking this thing down. We'll start with the offense.
Yes, we will start with the offense eventually when I find the button. Here it is.
Offense. Rodgers does this better than anybody. End zone. Cobb. Touchdown. Unbelievable.
All right, offense. Green Bay Packers. Whether you want to believe it or not, this team lives or dies through the offense and through on the arm of Aaron Rodgers and the legs of Aaron Jones. So, obviously, today, Jeremy, the weather is not fantastic. The Packers are, Aaron Rodgers has been Mr. Take Chances, get it downfield. He's got more deep passes than any other quarterback.
Yep.
They keep trying to push the ball down the field. You said, when we were wishing Rodgers happy birthday, hit your 2-yard checkdowns. On a day like today, with the weather being what it is, he better be doing that. The Packers better be committing to running the football. Hey, they signed a fullback this week.
Right, so I think that is a very clear commitment.
That was supposed to be a funny...
Okay, thank you. I think
it wasn't Aaron Ripkowski.
That was a clear public commitment to the run. I mean, if they were going to sign anybody and they weren't going to commit to the run, it wouldn't be a fullback. Okay, they want to run the football. They need to run the football, and they know that. But here's my question: you've had Mercedes Lewis on this team the whole season, and he can block. You could have been using him as a fullback, and you didn't, and now you've gone and signed a fullback. What value does Mercedes Lewis have to the Green Bay Packers? Because it seems to me that it's nothing.
Well,
they have no use.
Well, he's played more, and he's actually been an H-back on a couple of occasions, so it's like they finally figured out what we've all been asking for since week 1. I want Lewis back next year. I'm declaring it right now. I don't care. Well, I mean, if he plays terribly over these next 5 games and drops a bunch of passes. But, he had that long catch and run. And I think, was that the Miami game? He had a really nice conversion.
Right.
I mean, he's got more value than just as a blocker, but use him, to your point, use him, period, at all. So, yes, Mercedes Lewis should be in there a little bit more. Lance Kendricks, I think, is on his last legs in Green Bay.
Well, he's been slightly productive this year, better than he was last year.
Yeah, former Badger, but he's been very marginal.
I'd rather see Lewis on the field. I'd still rather see Lewis on the field.
Keep Lewis as your veteran tight end, and then let's stop trying to do this veteran tight end garbage. Let's go out and let's start drafting, and let's start bringing in some youngsters and guys who have the ability to maybe do both, block, run. Aaron Jones has to have a big day today. The offensive line is out. At least they're going to start the game. So the one thing we always have to watch every week is Brian Bulaga going to last this full game? Corey Linsley having a really good season quietly.
Yeah.
A really good season at center, and he's stayed healthy, so that's been good. The left side of the line, David Bakhtiari, a warrior. He's playing hurt. He's definitely not 100%, but he's going to get out there and he's going to play because he wants to protect his quarterback. Yeah, I want to just take a second. You only need to say like a few words here, but again, David Bakhtiari, the solid individual that he is, and the teammate that he is a throwback. It is a blessing to have a guy like that in Green Bay.
Absolutely. David Bakhtiari is a stud. The fact that he's playing today, I mean, that's huge. I can't believe that he's playing in that Lane Taylor's active. That I just thought there was no way either of those guys were going to play, and that was the hope for the Arizona Cardinals. If they were going to win today, those two guys weren't going to play. But now that they're going to play, well, the Cardinals have no hope. They already had very little, but now they got nothing. So somebody did have a question in the chat, and I was trying to find it. I can't think of who it was. Sorry if I don't mention your name, but they want to know how many catches Jake Kummerow will have today.
Randall Cobb's active. So you've got Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Equanimeous St. Brown. The future is those guys. And Cobb probably won't be back. And I don't know how much longer he'll be a part of the mix, but Jake Kummerow is your fifth wide receiver. So how often did you see the fifth wide receiver get in over the past several seasons without injury playing a factor? Not much. I'm
going to say I don't know that he's the fifth if Rodgers feels like he can depend on him. And he did in the preseason. And he had some struggles with the rookies. So I'm going to give him 3. I'm going to give him 3 catches today.
That's okay. That's fine. But if the attitude was Kummerow is my guy and he's hurt and I'm bummed out, you kind of pouted through a season because an undrafted free agent that was all Oneida was on uninjured reserve. When you had these rookies you could have been working up and trying to improve and bring up, then that's very disappointing.
Yeah.
If that's the case.
I mean, if that when at the end of the season you're excited for Jake Kummerow, it's been a bad season.
It has, but but this is some excitement, and everybody will say, "Hey, I don't have much else to be excited for." Some Packers fans are probably going to decorate the tree today while they're watching the game, and they're going to enjoy some Kummerow and just some hot cocoa and Christmas music, and just kind of embrace it for what it is. That's great. I mean, I think that's kind of what it looks like right now. For a 4-6-1 team, what more can we really expect? But offensively, though, just to kind of wrap up, it's real simple. They've got to run the ball a lot today and try to control the clock, try to stay healthy. The ball's going to be slippery. The weather is not great. Somehow Packers opponents find a way to not be as affected by that as we would hope. The Dolphins didn't look great a couple weeks ago. Cardinals are having a real bad season. They've only won 2 games. You want to talk about a disarray in the head coaching? Steve Wilkes in Arizona is in some trouble, man. He's having a lot of struggles, and we're in Arizona right now, and there's nary a Cardinals fan. I see one, but there's nary a Cardinals fan here in the bar. So,
hey, Kurt, you've been put in timeout too. Stop being an idiot. You guys talking about Banky and what he brings to the table. Banky actually brings quite a bit to the table. You guys have no clue what you're talking about. So welcome to timeout. You're also a 3-year-old. Thank you for joining the chat. Okay, so I think you're right. They need to commit to the run. So Mike Clemens said, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, he said the Packers don't actually have a check down system. It's not what they do. It's the scramble drill. That is their check down system. But for the last 3 years, the way that teams have played against Aaron Rodgers, they want to contain him in the pocket, don't let him get out. So they're taking away that scramble drill, and that's been the thing that we've been watching. And the biggest frustration here for me with Mike is that he doesn't adjust to crap. Like, he does not look at what the hell is happening and what teams are taking away from your offense and change what you do. Okay, so if you don't have a check down system, implement one. It's time to do that. It's been time to do that for a few years now.
They do. They have. They do, and they have. Maybe not to a traditional format, but that's Mike McCarthy and his offense. Like, it's not going to change. If you want a check down system, wait for 2019 because this season this team is what they are. They're not bringing anybody else in. There's not some magical force that's going to come and save this team. They are who they are.
Right.
The defensive players are who they are. The offensive players are who they are. If they're going to win, if they're going to do anything special this season, you're looking at who's going to get it done on the field today.
Right. Okay.
And they're going to need some big contributions from those rookies. And a lot of those rookies spend a lot of time playing on special teams. Trevor Davis is on injured reserve.
Right.
Who's going to return kicks. It's all going to be very interesting. So should we talk about special teams?
Let's get there. Let's do that.
Special teams.
This to send the Packers into the NFC Championship game. It is good. The Packers are moving on. And Mason Crosby, a hero for Green Bay.
Jason, who will return kicks for the Green Bay Packers today?
Well,
it's the question of the day.
Bashaud Breeland was a returner, and
he's out today.
He's out.
Yep.
They're not going to have Jair Alexander returning kicks.
We know who it is.
It's
Jay Kumaro.
You think so?
That's what he's going to do.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I think it'll be Valdez. I think it'll be MVS.
No, I think Kumaro is going to take that job today, and I don't think he's going to give it back. And especially after Tremon's blunder last week. What was that? If you're going to stand there, fair catch the football.
The ball drifted. Now, like, you're indoors, so
Right.
it's hard to say that the wind carried the ball away, but that was perhaps one of the worst. That was probably the single worst play I've seen Tremont Williams make in his entire career.
Right.
So
Brett says Ron Zook should be fired. You are absolutely right. Too many blunders, too many gaffes for the special teams unit throughout the season. This isn't new. This didn't happen just last week. The special teams have sucked all season. I don't understand why Ron Zook's still around. And I know you don't really want to fire coaches midseason because then, you know, who's going to replace him, really? Who's going to change it that's on the staff?
Yeah.
Right?
Ron Zook is not good, and he's going to be gone with Mike McCarthy at the end of the season. So just bear with us through this last month, and everything will be fine. We'll be okay. So, the special teams. The biggest thing today is just secure the football.
Right.
They're not going to do anything special because they can't. They get too many holding, blocking the back, and there's just it's not in the cards with this team this year. Just hold on to the ball. Don't do anything stupid. It's going to be tough sledding with the kicking game, obviously in the cold like that. Mason Crosby's done okay in the past, but you know his range is probably going to be 45 and in today. So you get into that. Now this is an interesting conversation that doesn't necessarily relate directly to special teams, but you get in that sweet spot in the zone there. Mike McCarthy, don't be stupid. Go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Like I would like the guy to actually coach like he's got some guts.
Yeah, well, that's another problem that we've had this year is that has not existed. What was your take, real quick, before we move on to defense, what was your take on the early punt against Minnesota, the early punt?
I don't want to set this building on fire, and so I'm not going to discuss this.
All right, well, we'll bookmark this for Wednesday's show.
So I can set your building on fire.
Yeah, set it on fire. Let's do it. All right, let's move on to defense.
All right, wait, real quick, before we do that, I do want to mention the one thing the Packers really need to do on the other side is hold Christian Kirk down from any big returns. Christian Kirk is a weapon for the Cardinals, and that is something they're going to need to be concerned about today. He does have a 44-yard return this season, but it's something that you need to look out for. Big plays from Christian Kirk on offense for the Cardinals and on special teams is something they're really going to need to be thinking about. All right, let's move on to defense.
Defense.
They're down in 17, more pressure, ball is out. Green Bay's got it. Daniels again.
I apologize for the graphic that I have. It's got Clinton Dix and Mike Daniels in it. Neither of them will be playing for the Packers for the rest of this season, one for one reason and one for another. But neither of those guys are going to be in green and gold.
Right. Well, I think obviously there's going to be a lot of changes made, not just on the Packers side, but on our side. So next year, look forward to some new stings. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have some new graphics and new audio. So defensively, the one big thing that stands out through this week is the Packers have only 13 takeaways this season.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Yeah.
Not going to get it done.
They have a lot of inexperience at corner. Even though that group has been good this year, not good enough. They're rookies, so they do make mistakes. Even Jair, he has that fantastic play blowing up the screen against the Vikings, but then gets shredded a few times throughout that game. A lot of growing pains for the Packers in the secondary, so turnovers have been quite limited as far as interceptions go. That's something that they'll grow into, I think, starting next year. So I don't expect much of a change as far as turnovers go this season, especially with Mike Daniels out now. Teams are going to be able to run the ball a lot, even though Kenny Clark, he owns the middle of that defense, right? Like, Kenny Clark is the man, best player on the defense. And I can't take anything away from Kenny Clark, but without Mike Daniels, there is a concern that teams are going to be able to move the ball running up the middle because Kenny Clark can't beat all 5 guys.
It's David Johnson for the Cardinals, and he's still a really good running back. He hasn't had as much
He hasn't had a great season.
He hasn't had a great season, but he hasn't had a chance to shine this year because they're constantly playing from behind and throwing a ton. And you've got Josh Rosen, the rookie quarterback out of UCLA, who's been thrust into a tough position as a rookie. This team is struggling. There's disarray in the team with the head coach and all of the talk about whether or not he's going to make it. And then you got Rosen out there trying to develop himself and make himself into what he's going to be for the Cardinals for the long term.
Right.
So the Packers need to keep the pressure on big time. They've had success getting to the quarterback. Now that they aren't getting flagged a ton, which ended a long time ago, but I still like to mention this. They have to keep – that's got to be a big key today. They've got to keep the pressure on Rosen, force a couple mistakes, make it difficult for Arizona. Put this game away early, send a message, score a bunch of points, get confident on offense, and build up something going into next week, because next week is going to be a tough game too. But it's also at Lambeau, so you're home for 2 weeks. Give yourself a little bit of an easier time over these next couple weeks, and don't make today what the 49ers game was earlier in the season.
A couple of things from the chat. Ryan, I'm going to say that's Dylan. Ryan Dillon says Rodgers needs to find Raji on the check down today. I hope that happens. He also asks if Ron Zook's the next head coach. Well, I sure hope not.
Head coach of what?
Pop Warner team?
Pop
maybe?
Warner. I was going to say the Legion Post number 13 team.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Game misconduct says, I'd rather see aggressive mistakes than lazy tackling, and I think that we've seen a lot of that this season from the rookies. The guys who really struggled with that, well, the one guy is gone. Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix was the laziest tackler and most unaggressive safety in the league, regardless of what the numbers say.
He also had a third of the turnovers that this team has had all season.
Means nothing to me when you also give up touchdowns.
Yeah.
So unless you can take away as many as you give up, I don't care.
Well, okay, we talk about this all the time. I complain always that the Packers love to make aging superstars and aging veterans look like they're back in their prime.
Larry Fitzgerald.
And you still have Larry Fitzgerald on the field. So this could be a problem if the Packers want to make aggressive mistakes today. They made one in a playoff game against Larry Fitzgerald, and it cost them 75 yards, and the following play, Fitzgerald himself just waltzed into the end zone and ended the season.
Was that the time when he ran over Charles Woodson, and it should have been offensive pass interference?
No, that game
ended the game?
No, that was, that would have been 2009.
That was a while back. That was that playoff game.
That would have been the playoff game.
Yeah, that playoff game in overtime. 2 plays in a row, it seemed like Larry Fitzgerald just absolutely mugged Woodson. And nothing was called either time. Well, I was so furious.
They weren't calling anything in that game anyway because Aaron Rodgers got his face ripped off at the end.
That's true.
They didn't call it.
That's true. Okay. Too many wounds open. This whole season is nothing but a festering wound.
So the Packers
and now we're bringing up terrible playoff games.
Packers need to drop 50 on the Cardinals and make us all feel better.
Yeah. That would help.
Yeah, the Cardinals probably wish they were at home. I mean, I'm looking out on the lake right now here at the watershed, and the boat's out, and everyone's celebrating Christmas. There's like big Santa on the boat out there. The sun is shining. We got some folks out on the patio.
I don't know, man. It's a cold 60 degrees here in Arizona.
We are a world away from Lambeau Field and the snow globe that it's going to be, or that it seems to be today.
And it's going to be that nasty snow, that gross, icy, wet snow.
So hold on to the football today. Any final thoughts, Jeremy, before we move along?
I say Packers win, and Packers win big. I don't think the Cardinals even get in the end zone. I think they're going to get maybe field goals today. And you know what? They're just bad, okay? Cardinals fans are just as frustrated, if not more, than Packers fans.
But they're used to it.
Everybody's frustrated in this room. Any Packers fans, Cardinals fans, we're all angry. But Cardinals fans have it much, much worse than Packers fans. So I'm sorry that your team is the Arizona Cardinals. Feel free to buy a green and gold shirt and switch over. You are more than welcome as a Packer fan. So Packers win big today, and it means nothing to me. They're going to win big, and people are going to feel all good and fuzzy, and it'll mean absolutely nothing.
Right. Okay, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Jason Perone. You can follow Jeremy at JeremyRVDL. You can follow the show at CHTV Live.
And you should. We have a giveaway.
That's right.
So go to @CHTV Live on Twitter. We're doing a giveaway. There's a signed hat from Marco Rivera. It's a large, extra large. So if you got a big head, it'll fit you. If you don't, you can give it away as a Christmas gift. But we're giving away a hat. Go to the Cheesehead TV Live Twitter account @CHTV Live, and you can enter to win that.
Excellent. All right. Go Pack, go. Packers, we both have the Packers winning this one. Enjoy the game. And we'll be back on Wednesday evening to talk about the game that was and preview the upcoming game against the Atlanta Falcons next week. For Jason Perone and Jeremy Vanderlinden, Cheesehead TV Live.
Thank you for listening to Cheesehead TV Live. Check out cheeseheadtv.com for more great Packers content.